Hi, everyone. It's Michelle from Royal Daily Tea with my special guest, Victoria.
Hi, hello. How are you? Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I think we're live.
We're live, 16 seconds in.
Okay. It takes a couple of minutes for it to kick in, right? Oh, hold on a second. That's my TV. Sorry about that, guys. Hi, everybody. Hi, Teaspoon. Hi, Carol. Hi, Lizzie. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. We have the lovely Victoria from Victoria Voice here, straight from the UK.
Yeah, London.
Yes, so I am so excited to talk to Victoria because I think it's important to get a perspective from the UK, kind of a boots on the ground type of thing. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and have her introduce herself. This is Victoria from Victoria's Voice. I met her on Sean Atwood's channel for The Royal Mess, and I've loved her ever since. So I'm so happy she agreed to be on the Royal Daily Tea. So Victoria, how did you get involved with this whole Harry and Meghan saga?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been working for Sean Atwood for a little time now. I ghostwrite books, so for criminals.
That is so cool. That is
yeah,
so
cool. I know, right? And his wife, actually, his partner, we sort of set out to podcast together, and we kind of fell into it really because obviously that's what he does. And we decided to join the Royal Mess, and then that was it. I started to do my own lives and videos. I do lives more than videos because I feel like I'm more used to it. Because I don't know why. I feel really weird just sitting there talking to myself. So
it's just weird, right?
yeah. So yeah, I do quite a few lives. I did put a pause on it for a little while, but I'm back now. So yeah.
Yeah, you've been a busy lady. So have you always been a royal watcher? What was your take on the royals before you started getting involved?
My family are very heavily into the royals. My mum's side, my nan was very much pro the Queen. We were kind of we grew up with Harry. We grew up with Prince William. I think he's about 3 years older than me, Harry. And you know, we kind of watched them grow, and we also watched the tragedy of his mum dying, their mum dying, and that was, you know, such a big dent in our culture, and it really impacted everybody, I think, because they kind of become family to you because you're always seeing them. So we did visit the palace and lay some flowers down, and it was just a sea of flowers everywhere, and just really felt that moment. You know, it was such a shock for everybody when she died. And you know, we really fell in love with Diana. She was kind of the people's princess, and there's still so much of her memory here. And yeah, so and obviously I'm based in London, so I'm right near the palace. I'm not too far away.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever been to Trooping the Color?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I haven't been inside Buckingham Palace, but you can go in the summer, so you can do a tour. So I'm planning to do that. I could video that actually.
Are you doing any twerking on the steps like that one couple did?
we tried to make the guards laugh. See who can make the guards laugh. Yeah.
Well, you know, Francis Page Media, you know, he was a guard at Buckingham Palace. Remember Francis?
Yeah.
He's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So let me ask you your take. What is the general consensus of people in the UK toward Harry and Meghan right now? Do they have a lot of fans? Do they not have fans? Are people on the fence? What are people's opinion, you think?
I think people are a bit perplexed about what their kind of angle is, their game. I mean, you know, they disappeared to have a private life, and now they're very much in the public eye. So they've contradicted themselves. But I do feel that they don't particularly want him back as a working royal, because of the rift, and because of, I suppose, of how he's treated his family, and you know, Princess Catherine and Prince William. It's almost like that it's gone too far now. And you know, I would believe, I believe that if he wasn't with Meghan, there would be some hope for him, but at the moment it doesn't look great.
Yeah, and the thing that's weird is that Harry and Meghan have contradicted themselves the entire time. Like first they acted like they needed to leave the royal family because they were racist, unconscious bias, mistreated Meghan, and that Harry felt like he was a zoo animal and his family's trapped and he didn't want to do that anymore. So they wanted to go, they said, become financially free. They wanted to go be free in America, which everyone, let them do. But now they're fighting to get back. They want their kids to have HRH status.
Yeah.
They want their kids a prince and princess title. They still go by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It's like you gave up the royal life, but yet you're trying to do that now in America. So you just contradicted everything that you said.
Yeah, and this is the issue that we've got, that they have one foot in the door and one foot out, and you can't do that. You have to make a decision of what you're doing and where you want to go. I think Meghan's is very ambitious. She wants to make money. That's her main priority.
Mm-hmm.
And to elevate her status. Whereas I think he actually does want the quiet life, but he has to go along with what she wants. And he really and truly, he does want to be a humanitarian. He wants to work for the people. That's what he's used to doing. He's used to doing tours, royal tours, and doing good deeds. It's really out of his comfort zone to be in this kind of fast Hollywood paced lifestyle.
Okay, so I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, Victoria.
Okay,
So
go for it.
Yeah, we're going to go for it. We're putting you in the hot seats. Okay. So Harry, so there was a lot of rumors going around about Harry. And look, we can't substantiate everything, but we can also say it could be very believable, right? Harry hasn't been in a good place, according to our opinions and what we have observed, and what he has admitted in his book, that he has partaken of some wacky tobacco and some substances, right?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he does have stunted, arrested development. I don't think he's gotten past being that 12-year-old boy walking behind his mother's casket, which is very sad to say. But again, I don't think he's really quite dealt with that. He's kind of suppressed it with substances.
Yeah.
And I think he's in a dark place due to the fact that he's made a lot of mistakes. And things have gone out, in my opinion, the way that they originally thought it was going to happen. So during this little New York City appearance, he talked about going from duty to purpose, how he was born into duty, but now he has a life of purpose. But what is his purpose? Can you tell me what is his purpose?
I know. I think he's a little lost. And I do think that without a purpose, you'd fall into a real state of depression anyway. I think most people do. If you haven't got a job and you can't get up for work and you're stuck in the house and you haven't really got an idea of where you're going, it is tough. You have to be quite strong-minded to get through lulls of not knowing where you are in life. He's still trying to find his feet and establish who he is in Hollywood or in Montecito. And I just don't think it suits his personality. And I don't think this is what he was expecting. I think she kind of duped him by taking him out there thinking, okay, they're going to have this wonderful life and live on a farm or whatever they were going to do. and then have a quiet life. And now she's starting to change the narrative, and he's not used to this backlash and he's not used to this negativity because he's always had the support of the PR from the royals here. They spun good stories on him and always covered his tracks. And now he's like an open book now. You can't. The can of worms have been released. Everything is there on show, and he had a lot more protection here than he does there.
The genie's out the bottle. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I was trying to find the right analogy, and I couldn't think
exactly. And the thing about royals and celebrities that are different is that royals are not celebrities. They're royals. They're kind of put behind a plexiglass. There's a little bit of mystique about them. They're, they do traditions. They uphold, what is it? The pomp and the circumstance, the pride of the nation. They represent the nation as diplomats on a worldwide stage, but they're meant to be a little bit, mysterious. But Harry and Meghan have kind of gone almost reality star style. At this point, they should just go full housewives. They should just do it. Just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
I think they might be more likable at that point. But now we know too much about them. Like the fact that he thought, that they conceived their child with the locket of his dead mom's hair next to the bed. It's like, that's not something we needed to know.
No.
Or that he put lotion on his Todger that smelled like his. We
Yeah.
don't need to know that, Harry. That did not put you in a good light. That was a little TMI, right?
I think he sensationalized the book. He could have possibly sensationalized it to obviously make for a better read. But I mean, really and truly, you're just embarrassing yourself because of who you are. And like you said, we don't need to know all of his personal details. And he was very open about his, his substance abuse or, using or what have you. And I know there's a rumor mill going around, which I've heard is true by a couple of sources,
Okay.
P. Dinah and Paula, but I have covered it myself, and so I do feel like I feel like there is a rapid decline in Harry's mental well-being. You can just see it in his face,
right?
I think his speech was a bit slurred in the last video when he went to New York. I was a bit kind of shocked. He wasn't as controlled, and sort of his voice was quite raspy. So it was because he was missing in the London one, the Travelist.
Yes,
it kind of all correlates, and I kind of feel like there's more to this than meets the eye. But I do think he's kind of a shadow of himself. In the last few months, it doesn't seem like he's really there.
Right. I think it is very concerning. I think I can play the video here if I can figure out how to do it. Let's see if I can figure this out.
I've got a clip if you want. I can share
I got it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
The more experience we have, naturally.
Let me find it. This is Harry.
Focus on giving a platform to young people. It's their future. I think that the longer that we are on planet Earth, the more experience we have, naturally. But also the longer we've been on planet Earth, the more we've been exposed to, not necessarily in a good way. So I think that young people come to these situations and come to these issues with such a clear mindset. So much of these problems are being created without them, and I think they need to. We believe that they simply have to have a seat at the table. The Responsible Tech Youth Power Fund is a group of individuals, young people that we fund and support, and they are coming up with a solution. This is their future. Bring them in, let them create the future that they want. Who are we, in our sort of 40s or 50s or 60s to be able to say, this is what we're going to create for you without actually asking you. So that to me has been a sort of a guiding light for me, certainly over the last 20 years. And again, fortunate enough to get out there, and that's the most important piece of advice that I would give, is get out there on the ground and listen. Don't believe that you have the solutions yourself and that you're going to come down on anybody or connect with anybody and say, look, because I have wealth, because I have the experience, I know what the solution is. Here is. So everyone's going to be different. And I've learned that time and time again, the power and the the opportunity you are given to be able to listen to the young people on the ground and say, yeah, that may well be a good solution, but here's why it's unique to our situation. That's where I'd leave it with, empowering young people.
Sorry, what the heck was that?
It's so bizarre because I covered this a couple of days ago or a day ago. I can't remember now. Time just seems to warp into one. And I was like, I've never heard him speak so like that before. He never normally stutters, or he's very, remember he's practiced all of his life. This is what he's trained to do, is to public speak. And he just seems not really with it. His voice isn't quite right. He's heavy breathing. I feel like he's slurring slightly. It's just the weird. I've never seen him give a speech before and him sound like that. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but
yeah, he looks disheveled. And then also there was something with Travelist that was in the UK earlier this week that he didn't show up for, and nobody knows why. And he didn't send a video message. He didn't show up. And that's really weird, right? Because wasn't he expected to be there? Then he does a surprise appearance. So again, I don't want to get into the whole, I don't like to get into the whole.
I know. I mean, I won't mention it, but
like nobody wants that to, like, no dissing to Paula or Padina. Nobody wants the story to be true because that's terrible, right? Nobody wants that to be true. Even they don't want it to be true. But we have to say it doesn't look good. It doesn't.
Well, according that their sources 100% guarantee that this has happened. I think there is a few people as well that have said that they noticed him coming out in an SUV and things like that. So, I mean, I don't want this either for him, and I would never want anything bad to happen to him. I think he needs help. He needs therapy. He definitely needs the right people in his life. I think that when you're with a toxic partner and you haven't got a good team or family around you, even because he's been isolated from his family, which is typically what a narcissist does. When they get with you, they will firstly isolate you from your family, so it's only your opinion and you two in this bubble, and he hasn't got anyone else to offload on or to get the right advice from. And whilst he's in this relationship, I do fear that I don't think he's going to get any better.
Right. And honestly, him being around with his, Meghan and her mother, and the fact that he's completely cut off from his family in a foreign country, the fact that he's, like you said, is getting a lot of negative press that he's not used to getting. He's not in a good place. And so could it be out of the realm of possibility that something happened with his admitted use? I would say, yes, it's very believable that could have happened, or something to that effect could have happened. And the fact that he did seem very, very more mumbled than normal, if that makes sense. He sounded, what he talked about was like word salad. What the hell are you talking about? I couldn't understand what the hell his point was. Now, I know when he was there, the Children's Network, that thing they do with Archwell about protecting children online, but it doesn't make any sense. And the whole thing he said about going from duty, which he was born into, a life of service, to purpose, where he wants to serve people. Again, they're kind of contradicting themselves, because all they want to do is get paid. The royals work for free, or they work in exchange for their lifestyle, right? But Harry and Meghan, everything they do is a paycheck. And I think there was a rumor he might have got paid for this event. I don't know if he was paid to show up, but there's a rumor he was. Again, every time he goes somewhere, he gets a paycheck. So talking about a life of purpose, your life of purpose is to make your wife rich.
Yes, and it was all sort of done last minute. It was almost like a surprise event for him, and it was almost also to cover up the fact that he didn't show up to the one in London. to try and throw everybody off, because he hadn't put a video out to say that he wasn't coming. He didn't give any kind of reason as to why he wasn't going to London. So it was just really bizarre that he just popped up in New York.
Right. Now, some people were saying it had to do with security, because has he been to London since he lost the appeal for the security? I can't remember if he's gone to London after. I think he went to Ukraine or some other place. I don't remember. I don't know if it was London or not.
I mean, if the rumors are true, then well, not the room. Well, you know what I mean. But there's also the possibility that it could have been to do with William as well, because William was there, and I think that they just don't have a relationship at all. So I just think it's very awkward for them both. And they keep kind of saying they want to rekindle the relationship, and then they just make a smart comment in an interview or a podcast, and everything is 2 steps forwards, 5 steps backwards. It's not consistent.
Right. I got to say hi to my bestie, Alicia. Hello, Alicia.
Hello. Hi. Okay.
Lizzie B says, and when was their last charitable action without a camera crew? Exactly. His entire relationship, and I'm going to do a video on this with Meghan Markle, has been documented. That woman had a camera out the minute she was dating H, putting out clues on her Instagram. They were filming well before Megxit, right? They had a camera crew at Frogmore Cottage for their documentary and all those pictures and the photos. Who's following these people with photographs with a camera? It's weird, right? So they used all of that behind the scenes footage well before they exited Megxit. When she was packing to leave, they were filming her. Remember when she was on the floor crying? Just everything with them is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, she had that moon bump dance, which I just thought that doesn't look like a pregnant belly at all. It was, I mean, what was your take on that? It looked like a bag of laundry under the dress.
It did not look right to me.
No, and the thing is with that, there's loads of details in there that didn't sit right with me. I mean, the twerking, getting to the floor. How is your body able to do that when you're about to give birth? It's near on impossible to be able to move like that. And it was the height of COVID, remember, as well. So you've got quite a heavy atmosphere in the hospital. You do have to wear masks, even if your bubble's there, because they were very tight on keeping the rules and regulations around COVID. It just seemed like that they had no anxiety around that whatsoever. It just felt off.
Yeah, everything with Harry and Meghan feels off. So here's another thing that I find really interesting about Harry and Meghan. So they've been in Hollywood for about 5 years, right? And they have all these really high-profile friends. Yet they didn't go to Jeff Bezos' wedding. Now, I find that really suspicious, because you had Oprah, you had Gayle, you had Orlando Bloom, you even had the Kardashians there. Several people that they're friends with that they know, yet Harry and Meghan don't quite make the cut. What is your take on them constantly being snubbed from like the biggest events? I mean, this is where the who's who, the richest people of the world would be, and you think that Meghan would want to be there. But I heard there's a rumor that Lauren Sanchez doesn't really like Meghan, and that could make sense.
I think Meghan isn't a girl's girl, for starters. I think she's in competition with the majority of the women around her, and that's why she has on women guests that I would say she knows she doesn't have to compete with. So, for example, having Beyonce's mum on the podcast rather than Beyonce is quite telling, isn't it? I think she's picking and cherry picking who she wants because they're not a threat to her. And they're in a different league. I also secondly think it's more to do with the fact that she's very difficult, and she's got a reputation of being rude She's not a team player. She thinks she knows best.
Uh-huh.
I think that they have rubbed a lot of Hollywood up the wrong way, because they are, Harry in particular has a victim mentality, and he continues to moan and whine about how he's been treated, and he lives in the past. And the issue with that is, you know, it brings the negativity to every event or every kind of social aspect in his life. People don't want to be around that. You know, you're not that hard done by, Harry. You have had a very privileged life. Yes, some things have not gone right for you and have gone down a different path, but you need to make the most of your situation, and you can't keep blaming other people for your misfortunes and misgivings. So I think there's a whole, like, there's more than one thing that is as to why they weren't at the wedding. And I just don't think that they're very popular, in the sense that they're not really Hollywood. They're kind of like in limbo. They're not quite Hollywood, and they're not quite royals. They don't really have a space yet in that society.
Right. They've kind of been like downgraded to like Instagram influencers, kind of like a list influencer. And Anna Geezer says, Bezos gives me the creeps. He does. And you know what's really funny is I actually kind of want to do a deep dive into this whole weird wedding. I actually want to start doing a little bit more pop culture on my channel called Holly Weird, because let's be honest, there's so much weird stuff going on there. And I don't know if you know who Maureen Callahan is. I love her. She has a new show on YouTube. She was with Megyn Kelly, and she basically said that he looks like a penis. I'm sorry, but he does. He kind of does, not to be mean, but he does give me creep vibes. And here's another thing. If you notice, Karen Sanchez, she dresses so trashy.
Provocatively, like she's
It gives me Kanye West vibes.
Yeah, the Bianca. Yeah.
Yes. What is with that? You're married to a billionaire. She's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. But let's be honest, that is money well spent. Okay. Like Dolly Parton says, it cost a lot of money to look this cheap. She's a beautiful woman. Every time you turn around, her boobs are bigger. Her face has another thing in it. And it's like, when is enough going to be enough? Like,
I do think she's overdoing the fillers, and I think it can get quite addictive. And what ends up happening is women that do that to themselves, they all end up starting to look the same. And I think in the end, it makes you look older, doesn't it? I think this.
It does. Yeah. And here's the thing: I predict maybe in 10 years. Do you think Meghan's going to go down the plastic surgery route more than she has?
100%. I mean, it's vanity at its most anyway. If you're going to be constantly in the public eye, the majority of these stars do go down crazy procedures and have crazy things done to them. I know Pamela Anderson's embraced her look as she's got older. She's not really had as much done as everyone else. But I think there's a real kind of need to stay youthful in the industry, because the older you get, the less work you get, I suppose. It's still quite ageist.
Yeah, it's true. And look, I love Pamela Anderson. And I get that she's trying to do this thing with no makeup, but it's like, girlfriend, okay. But here's another take that someone said. On my previous video that I just did, I talked about how Meghan Markle is kind of like white single female. She's always copying other people's personalities and their traits. She's literally copying Catherine, everything about her kids. I mean, it's literally obsessive. And then someone mentioned, on the interview that she did with Jamie Kern Lima, or that HD tutor calls her Jamie 3 names, they both did this weird thing where they didn't wear makeup. And I'm like, oh, is she taking a page from Pamela Anderson again? What was the whole point of the no makeup thing? Was that a reference to Pamela Anderson?
I don't really know why she would do that, because I thought that she was quite a vain person. And that's a bit of a surprise that she decided to do that. But there is a look that you can do called no makeup with makeup.
Okay.
I mean, you can pretend you're not wearing makeup and still have makeup on. It would just be a very light. She didn't have her eyes done either, but I'm sure she had something on her skin.
Yeah.
I can't believe she didn't.
Sandy said they had makeup on, they lied. Well, first of all, she was wearing like self tanner or bronzer, which hides a lot of stuff. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, you'll never catch me, Deb, on here with no makeup on. Nope. I have no eyebrows. No, not happening. Okay, not happening. So the fact that she would go on worldwide stage with no makeup, it's like, and we've seen her do this a lot on her Instagram. Like maybe she's trying to be the authentic. This is the thing. She's trying so hard on that Instagram to prove to the world, remember the girl who's not proving anything, that she's nice and she's natural and she's authentic. So she does these, I'm sorry, but very unflattering pictures and videos of herself.
Yeah. So she wants to be perceived as down to earth and relatable. I think that's kind of what she's trying to niche, because you know, when you're a homemaker, you're like the girl next door. And I think that's kind of the narrative that she wants to have. And to be perceived as this lady of a, you know, homemaker, a down to earth woman, someone that you can approach and is just, you know, really kind of laid back. I think that's how she wants to be seen, but she's just trying so hard that it's going the other way. It's acting, and that's all she's used to doing. It is acting, and she probably hasn't got her own identity as of yet. It keeps changing, so she doesn't really know who she is yet. I don't personally think.
I don't think she has much of a personality. Like I said, I always talk about with South Park when the guy opens up her head and he's like, hello, because she is an empty vessel. She's like a sponge, just sucking up character traits from a lot of different people. And I've caught her, like, there was one time I think she was on the Variety magazine and she was like, I make a mean bolognese sauce. Well, let me tell you, as an American, we call it spaghetti. We call it pasta. We don't walk around saying bolognese unless you're a chef and you're real fancy. Most people in America, we just call it, I'm making spaghetti or making a marinara or a pasta. But here's the thing. Catherine had a story about how William had made a bolognese sauce for her in college when he was trying to impress her.
I must say though, we call it bolognese here.
Y'all do.
When we do a meat dish. So we normally do like a beef with just tomatoes and like a passata. But I think maybe that's come from Harry, because obviously he's used to probably saying that here. So she's kind of adapted it and says bolognese as well. Maybe.
I think she stole the story because Catherine did the story, because Americans do not use that word unless you're a major chef. We just don't. Or Italian, yeah. But most of us say spaghetti. But in the UK, it's bolognase. So I
say bolognese. Someone said in the comments, I didn't know we did. Personally, I use it, but maybe not everybody else does. I don't know.
It's really funny because I do a lot of audiobooks, and a lot of times when it's like a British person, y'all have funny words like y'all say the motorway, we say highway, or my mobile, cell phone, and then they say she went home and cooked a bolognese sauce, and I just love that, but we call it pasta, so it's different. But I did pick up on that because again, Megan, you're not British. Why are you using British term?
Spag. We always say spag bowl. We say spag bowl sometimes as well.
You say what?
Spag bowl.
Oh, that's like for spaghetti.
Yes, yeah, for bolognese. So spag bowl is bolognese. But also, I have got chefs in the family, so maybe that is why I say bolognese.
So, so Stone says the whole point of no makeup was that Meghan could do the no crying trick. I think literally no crying with no tears. I've never seen anyone wipe their face with no tears. That was the weirdest thing. Yeah. Okay. Carol says Meghan is a narcissist, empty vessel, sucking character traits. Absolutely. And if y'all haven't seen it, go check out my second video, because basically someone came out and said that Meghan Markle is caught in a vicious cycle of copying celebrities. And then, of course, the old mark up the tea and her products. And you guys, they have literally been coming for her, the whole private label thing. And I know Victoria has some interesting stuff that she wants to share with us. And you guys, it just could have happened to a nicer person. I'm sorry, but you know, you get what you get. So
Yeah.
do you want to put your stuff up about
Oh yeah, well I can show you the coding, because I know you mentioned it in one of your videos that and then they changed it, didn't they? But I've actually got a screenshot of the coding.
Are you able to take what I have here on the stage? Are you able to put it on there?
I've put it up already. You should have it there. I don't know.
Okay, which one do you want me to do?
So it's the first one. Oh, not that one. The other one next to it. There you go. That's the coding. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have a look, you can see the name. Also, the flower sprinkles are from Republic of Tea as well. And the brand there, it says Republic of Tea, and this is like the back end of the website. So this is actually the coding, and I think another YouTuber found this. I've taken it and used it.
Think Beautiful.
Yeah, Think Beautiful. Yes, and yeah, I was like, okay, so we now have a definite confirmation that she's not using her own stuff. She's just basically, it's like a drop shipping company, and then they deleted it and she's put as ever in, but I think it was up for a couple of days.
Now I have a background in websites, and I actually used to do code.
Yeah,
so this is sloppy web work, and all I got to say is, you in danger, girl. Whoever built her website, you're in danger. You effed up. You copied and pasted the code and didn't change the name. Nothing. I mean, this is lazy web work. Okay. Now, look, it's not illegal to do what Meghan is doing. It's called, you know, a lot of people have outsourcing. They manufacture it from other people. They have distribution centers. And that's actually a very smart way to do things. Okay. Which is still very, very confusing as to why she still sells out so quickly. Again, there's no way, if you're working with large distributors like that you would sell out of honey in 6 minutes. And I'm going to talk about that in a new video. There's a whole other thing about the honey, guys. A lot of people think that she got it from Williams-Sonoma. And again, there's a distributor who works with Williams-Sonoma who is attached to Netflix. They also do a lot of their Bridgerton products, you know, like their teas for their Netflix house. So apparently Republic of Tea is either the same company or a similar company that is associated with Netflix. And we know that Netflix is in charge of her production. That is why I find it so hard, Victoria, that they sold out. It doesn't make sense.
I don't believe that there was a product in the first place. I think she is trying to make herself seem popular and you know, create demand around something that isn't there until she's ready to really launch products that she's going to do herself. I mean, if this is kind of the laziest way of selling something that's not yours. Why would you promote it as if you're there, you're in the kitchen, you're doing all this, you've put your heart and soul in it, it's like a bespoke product, and then really you're just fooling people. You're marking up the products as well, and you're trying to sell something that has got nothing to do with you, but yet you make it all about you.
Right. Exactly. So it's very interesting. Again, it's not new. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people were upset because of the pricing. And again, that's kind of something people do in the industry. They're calling it a Duchess pricing. But the fact that she was making such a big production on Instagram, that this is her recipe, she makes it in her kitchen. That's all about Meghan's dream, her jams, my jam. And she didn't even make jam.
And I think that's what we don't like. We don't like the lies around it. You can do what you want. If you want to sell products and label them as your own, that's absolutely fine. But don't fool people into thinking that you're behind that. And we need transparency when it comes to what we're buying into. And if you are a Meghan fan, you're going to be very disappointed to find out that her tea is nothing to do with her. Her wine's nothing to do with her. it is just something she's just decided, right, I'll sell that, and I'll just relabel it. And there's no thought and care being put into that product from her. And if that's what her fans want, and if that's what she's trying to convey, then actually she's lying. She's manipulating her consumers.
Right, exactly. And so it is interesting now that she is coming out with that wine. And I know a lot of people have researched the wine, and it's coming out on Diana's birthday, which again, to me, it's so icky. The whole Diana card, they just won't let her go, the dining out on Diana. But apparently Meghan has clapped back, and she has said that, well, July 1 is actually a very special day for me and H. It was their first date, apparently. But in 8+ years, we've never once seen them refer to this as a special day.
Well, it's very bizarre that their first date was on Diana's anniversary.
Yeah.
That's a bit weird anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently they I mean, also you have to think it's not in good taste. The driver of the car was meant to be over the limit. Why release wine on your mum's birthday? It just all seems really weird. And they do this all the time. I think anything that is going on in the royals, they want to match it on that day. It's very like tit for tat and spiteful. I feel like they're trying to goad the royals.
Yeah, and always the Diana connection.
Yeah,
there was an article. Her sweet nod to Diana by having the wine out on her birthday. And I'm like, it's not a sweet nod, guys. It's really gross. And the fact that she was, taken out by a drunk driver. A guy was drunk behind the wheel. It's just very insensitive. They need to just quit with the Diana anniversaries.
And it's a bit of for Prince William as well. He's going to be a bit pissed off about. He's going to be a bit annoyed about him doing this. It's almost like he's trying to push his buttons. I don't understand why he would even agree for it to be released on that day. I really don't. Just find it so bizarre. And I've actually got if you look down at the bottom next to, I've got the credits, so the application details for the wine. If you want to have a little look on the screenshot next to 3 times the price. So that one, yeah. Okay. So that is the application for the wine, and it tells you where it's coming from and where it's being and how it's being labeled. If you can zoom in on it, you can see.
Is that better?
Oh, I think, yeah, I can't zoom in on it. I can't read it.
Oh, okay. How do I zoom in on it? I don't know how to zoom in on it.
Oh dear.
Oh, boy. I don't
All
know
it is, so it is the application for the wine. Let me see if I can go up and see if I can do it here. Let me see if I can read.
I don't know how to zoom in. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. If I can find it on here. So it tells you where it's coming from. It's Kunde family wine, but I think it's German. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And then it's being labeled obviously as Ever, and it's a winery in California, and it's Napa Valley. Sorry. And so there's a certificate for the application, but this is the certificate for it, and it's going to be traded under dessert, port, and cooking wine. There we go. That's what it says, and it's just all the legal jargon on there, basically.
Well, supposedly Meghan has come out and stated that they're actually using a different winery, that they're not using that winery. Again, I didn't have a lot of time to investigate.
Oh, I see.
But again, she's trying to clap back, and she's saying, no, it's not from Diana's birthday. It was because it's a special anniversary for us. But again, we've never heard them acknowledge that date. I do remember July 4th that they talked about. I think it was their second date that they had. And I think Carrie did something for her, remember, for the July 4th. But everything about their first meeting and their meet cute, they kind of changed their story so many times that it's hard to keep it straight.
Well, it's just the dates, and I don't really understand when they really met, because they do change it all the time. I feel like that there was a crossover, and that's why they don't tell the truth, because she was dating somebody else around the same time, and I think she was keeping her options open.
She was living with someone, her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So
Corey Cook.
But I mean, she says that had all finished, but I don't think it did. If you look at the dates and the timing, and his Instagram, nothing matches up. I think she was keeping her options open because she wasn't sure which way it was going to go with Harry. She wanted to snag the deal, and once she snagged the deal, then see you later, bye bye. So yeah, she's a player. She's a player.
Yeah, I remember Paula had done a really good video a couple months back where I think Meghan had acted in some kind of Hallmark movie. I think it was like the Dater's Handbook, and one of the people that she was acting with in the show talked about how Meghan said that she met someone.
Yeah.
Then a couple months later, it came out that it was Harry, and she told him, "This is the guy I was telling you about." And at the time, she was living with Corey. So she had a crossover. Again, we can't confirm that, but there's rumors they might have met each other before, and that's just the story that they went with.
I mean, did Harry know about this? This is the thing. I mean, normally the royal family would do a bit of a deep dive on the person that their family member is dating, because it's important to know what you're getting into. And you know, if she's got any dark, seedy secrets, then that needs to be sort of rectified or managed somehow. And I just think she has so many things that going on in her past that just doesn't add up. And I'm just surprised they kind of allowed him to continue with this relationship.
Yeah.
Based on what they knew. And I'm sure somebody would have known that she was still seeing somebody else. So for him to continue that is odd in itself.
Yeah, I can't read the name. Tam Fitz says Corey Vitello was the chef. Absolutely. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a crossover. She was living with him, apparently. I know she was renting a house in Canada, and a lot of people were like, oh, Meghan was worth $10 million and she made all this money on suits and she owned this house. No, she didn't. She wasn't making as much money as people thought, and I think she was living with her ex-boyfriend. So yeah. Arnold says he thinks that Meg might have paid them to be quiet. Absolutely. I think they did a little scrubbing of her when she became engaged to Harry, because again, in America, I'm a huge royal watcher. I didn't know who she was. I had to Google her. And then when I found out she was an actress from America, I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't pay much attention because I thought, that's not going to work out. That's never going to happen. And then when it did, it was like, holy crap, I guess I should pay attention. And that was when she was on Vanity Fair. And I think the next month is when they got engaged, right? So I think everyone was kind of thinking it was going to be a fling. No one thought she would be the real thing.
They usually date within their own, within their own sort of their own society. They're not to branch out to an actress would have been hard to swallow, a hard pill to swallow for the royal family. And she's not exactly an actress that is well established. She was trying to socially climb. She was climbing the social ladder, and they must have been aware of that. You know, she's looking to get her social status up, and you know, I think she wants to become a Hollywood elite. That's her end goal.
Yeah, Kelly Bruner says these are the moves of an aging, non-talented woman with no future. Well, we all know her acting career wasn't really great. She was 35, 36. And one person just said in here, I used to watch Suits and I didn't even remember her. It wasn't a top show in America. You had to pay for that channel. And I remember I used to see advertisements and I thought, oh, I want to see the show. But then you have to pay for the network. And this was before Netflix, right? And I was like, I'm not going to pay for that. You had to like get it on your cable provider. You know, you had to up your plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Friends or Seinfeld or Melrose Place. It wasn't really one of those big shows at the time. And now I heard that the reboot, by the way, is totally tanked. Totally tanked. And here's another fun story for you. According to Neil Sean, you know how her co-stars, I forgot their names, the ones who were trying to stay famous by having her name in their mouth, that one guy, he has a podcast where they go over the old episodes of Suits. And Meghan said she would come on the show, right? She hasn't, but yet she's done a multiple of Jamie Kern Lima, Emma Grede. She's been on at least 2 podcasts, right? Promoting herself, but yet she won't go on the ones with her friends from Suits. So I think they finally realized that she's not really there for them.
No, she thinks she's above everybody else, and she's very, very careful about how she's seen and perceived, and she's creating this image of herself where she's more superior than everybody else, and to go back and mingle with her old colleagues she would deem as beneath her because they're not well known. She only wants to rub shoulders with people that have got more power and influence than her because that elevates her up the ladder. So she's not impressed with anyone that's underneath her, and she won't probably have much time for them. But what I do find interesting is at the wedding they had all these stars, and had George Clooney and his wife there, and these big A-list stars were there. They didn't even know Meghan and Harry. They were just there because they were invited, and they're not going to turn down a royal wedding, are they? But that they haven't maintained a relationship with any of these people. In fact, George Clooney was with the king recently,
right?
And it's kind of another sort of dig at Harry and Meghan because they've chosen what side to go on, really. And then they know where their bread is buttered, and it's not with Harry and Meghan.
That's right. And I was actually going to do another video. So let's see. We've had quite a few people chosen that the real tier 1s. I call them tier 1s, not the tier 2s. So we have the Clooneys. And remember, he had opening night of a Broadway play the same night Meghan went to that other play. She didn't go to Georgia. She went to the other play. So the Clooneys have clearly chosen the royals. Then we have the Beckhams. Sir David Beckham finally got his knighthood. Now, they're team royals, right? They're team William. He's buddy with King Charles, kind of taking the place of Harry, let's be honest. And they're definitely team royals. You had Catherine wearing a Victoria Beckham suit. You have David Beckham in the honey. You have him going with William to the helicopter event. And of course, now that he's a knight, he's a sir. And then we have I can't say his name. Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. They're doing a Netflix together, aren't they?
Now
the
he
king.
was the DJ at their private Hollywood wedding reception, and here he is now starring with his father in a Netflix documentary.
And that must really rub them up the wrong way, because I know for the king to get a deal with Netflix and they're with them already, I think that's, again, they're in competition. And even the king, I know he wasn't portrayed in a very good light from The Crown, and I think he had a bit of a issue with that. So for him to do this with Netflix is quite kind of pragmatic, I think. I think he knows this is a good venture. I think it'll be really successful, actually. But I don't think Harry and Meghan are going to be best pleased about that.
Right. And then we also have Prince William is starring in Jeremy Clarkson's show, because I think they were doing something on the Duchy of Cornwall, I think. So again, Prince William is going to be aligned with Jeremy Clarkson on his show. I think that's coming up this year at some point. And Jeremy Clarkson's history with Meghan Markle. Yeah, so let me ask you another question. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
So you know that recently at Ascot, there was photos of Princess Eugenie with Misha Nunu, who was supposed to be friends with Meghan. And they were
Okay.
together talking at Ascot. And a lot of people were like, okay, does that make Eugenie the royal mole? But here's my point before we get into that. Remember, Eugenie and Misha Nunu probably knew each other well before Meghan infiltrated their camp. Because remember how she came on the periphery? She was like stalking him for a year and a half, becoming friends with people in his circle to ultimately get to Harry. That's what I believe. She became friends with all these people. So I think they were friends before Meghan. But a lot of people are saying, what do you think about that?
Well, Eugenie's the closest to Meghan and Harry, isn't she? We
Mhm.
kind of know that she still speaks to them and engages with them. Quite possibly she could be, but then I would have thought Princess Catherine and Prince William would be quite selective of what she knows. I don't think that they're all going to have they're all family, but there's going to be things that they're not going to reveal to her because it could get passed to them. She's not picked sides, but it's a very tricky situation, isn't it? Because you can't really trust someone that's playing both fields. So I'm not sure with her. I think she's very similar maybe to her mum. So that kind of doesn't bode well. They like to reveal family secrets. And this is another thing. This, when you going back to when you asked me about how we feel here, we don't air our dirty laundry in public. We like to keep things private. A lot of this old mentality of I can't speak properly today. Sorry. in the British culture is that we don't reveal everything. We keep our privacy private. Our things that are going on in our lives, we don't share with everybody else. We're not as open. And yes, whatever's going on in the royal family, I understand you've got your issues with them, but they took it too far with the Oprah interview. And I think that's really when things changed, because it's you're not really being honest. I think they were trying to really get everybody to hate the royal family, and it backfired.
Right. In my opinion, the Oprah Winfrey interview was Meghan Markle's entry, her kind of introduction to America, and she came in on the victim wave and played the race card because it was really hot. We had the whole George Floyd situation. It was a very racially charged time. So she came in on the victim mentality, thinking, I'm going to endear myself to America. They're going to fall in love with me and feel sad for me, like Diana did on the Panorama interview, but it backfired on them. So let me read a couple of comments. Shaz says, Michelle, you are correct. Misha and Eugenie knew each other before Meghan came on the scene. Yeah, so again, they were part of the circle before Meghan was there. Absolutely. Let me go through some comments. It's okay for Misha and Eugenie took a pic together. Absolutely. Now, I do believe, and I think you are correct, I don't think the relationship between Harry, Meghan, Eugenie, and her husband, Jack Brooksbanks, is the same. And I think it happened after the Queen's funeral. Because at the funeral, there was weird body language between them. Remember when they went to the car, and that was around the time, or right after that was around the time that they got kicked out of Frogmore Cottage. And I think Eugenie and them were kind of renting it there. So there was some weird stuff going on there.
Yeah. The dynamics of the family have completely changed, haven't they? It's very fractured now. And it's difficult to know who to trust, because you don't expect that stab in the back from someone like Harry. I always knew he was rebellious, and he was the one that kind of was always getting into trouble. But we kind of felt they had a loyalty to each other. And, going through that tragedy together, that should solidify a bond between the brothers. you know, they both had the same trauma, but they both have dealt with it differently. And you can see that Harry just doesn't want to get out of this rut that he's in. He would rather stay in the victim mindset because it's easier to, it's an excuse to, it's an excuse to use, and it's just easier not to deal with it. And it's actually a lot harder to grow, you know? And I think William's taken on, he's taken it completely differently. He's probably got more of a balanced mind. But yeah, it's just sad to see both of them the way that they are. I know that there isn't a lot of love for Harry, but I don't like the road and the path that this is all going down. It's quite scary.
That is true. And it's 5.5 years now. So I think the royal family has probably gotten Harry and Meghan fatigue, and they're kind of done with the whole victim narrative. Like, it's one thing if someone goes through something, but 5 years later, it's like, let it go.
Yeah, I know. You're just spouting the same stuff all the time. It's boring, isn't it? He keeps talking about his wife being trolled, and like she's gone through the hardest time in her life. She's not the most trolled woman in the world. There are a lot worse than Meghan out there. There are psychopaths, there are crazy people, there are murderers, and there are, you know, there are people like P. Diddy, for example, who is the most, you know, prolific predator out there. She's a narcissist. She's not someone we can relate to, but not the whole world wasn't on Meghan like they portray it to be. You know, they think the world revolves around them, and it really doesn't.
Yeah, I think she used the word authentic 30 times in her interview with him. Agreed. It's like, are you trying to convince us or yourself? Like, why do you keep saying authentic? That's really, really weird. So Wildcat Wilma 84 says, Fergie never gave away family secrets, did she? Well, she tried.
She wrote a book, didn't she?
She did for money, almost. She kind of got busted. But I like Fergie. Look, Fergie's messy. Fergie's messy. But in America, we loved her. In the Weight Loss, the Vivacious Redhead, she was Diana's friend.
Yeah. But they did fall out, though, didn't they?
They did. But you know what? People in America, we give people second chances. We do. And people loved her in America. They really did. I loved her. I used to be a really big fan.
Yeah.
She kind of got herself a little too much with Andrew, but you know, whatever. You to each their own. So the whole thing about this Invictus Games, he publicly is now trying to invite his father and Prince William, which is just dirty, to do it publicly. They haven't even received a formal invitation, but he's telling everyone in the press that he's inviting them, putting them in a hard place. So someone said that Andrew could go, and I'm like, oh my God, could you just imagine? I don't know.
And I mean, Andrew's, I'm so surprised he's still hanging around, considering everything that he's been involved in. He must have known what was going on. He's a weird one. But now the Queen's not around, he's not as protected as much. I don't think he gets as much in the way of privileges, and he doesn't really have much of a say anymore.
Well, maybe the Spencers will go again, because remember, for the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, his uncle Charles Spencer, who's always dining out on Diana, he showed up for the Invictus Games. So I guarantee you, he probably, if it actually happens in 2027, he will definitely go as well. So you guys, we were past an hour here, and I'm sure Victoria's getting tired. But before we go, we'll take a couple of questions or comments. If you guys want to leave some questions for Victoria or myself, or want to have a comment about anything that we talked about, please put it now in the comments, and we'll go ahead and try to go through some of these. Lizzie B says, this is yet another plot to victimize himself. When the royals won't go, he will say, see how they are rejecting me. He is so obvious now. Exactly. What is your take on that?
This is another plot to fix it. Yeah. He's just stuck in this cycle of trauma. And, you know, there is this woe is me card all the time. Now, we can all have our down days. I completely understand that. But when you can't live like that forever, it's not healthy. It's really, really negative. And you need to self-reflect. That's the one thing that they don't do, is self-reflect and take on board constructive criticism. That is something that they should be doing to grow as people. But because they're a pair of narcissists, no, they don't do that. Narcissists don't self-reflect. They just carry on. They just don't listen. So I don't feel like we're ever going to get any growth from these two. If we do, I will, I don't know, I'll do something outrageous.
Yeah, Wildcat says Harry needs to be fired from the Invictus Games. You know, what's really funny is that he's really not doing well in his philanthropy. He had African Parks. Is he still a part of African Parks, which has been a major scandal? Then he had the other one that just happened. Oh gosh, my brain is freezing. You know, that one charity where that lady called him out? I can't think of the name. Not Africa, Sentabali.
Oh, yeah.
The huge scandal. I think they're still doing the investigation, so we haven't heard the news yet when that's going to come out. Invictus Games is teetering. There's a lot of drama there with the Invictus Games. They've had more people, I think, quit or get fired. And then they're trying to bring it to, Birmingham in 2027. It's a very broke city. How are they funding this? So this is very, very shady. And then he's announcing different countries that could be, I think, for 2029, Ukraine, Nigeria. I mean, it's just a mess. The fact he still has Invictus Games, that and Travelist, I think is what he has left. He's running out of philanthropy besides what they do at Archwell.
Yeah, and the Archwell as well. They haven't filed their tax returns yet. Still, I mean, it's all kind of very odd. Their whole financial situation, what they're doing, is everything above board? I don't think so. I think that there are things that will come out soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bobo says charity fraud is massive. It will be exposed using taxpayer funds. Absolutely. I think there were some missing millions that they were talking about.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
They don't seem to do much. Like if you look at their actual donations, they're not very extensive.
No, and you know, it's pennies in comparison to what they could give. I mean, they've also donated basketballs and just random weird things that, I mean, anyone can do. They have the power and influence to give a lot more and do a lot more, and they don't. And that's a shame, really, because they could really make a change when they're doing these tours. They could actually make a real difference, and they choose really to use that instead of doing the right thing. They use it to propel their own status and just to, it's all about themselves. It's a selfish tour. It's not about other people. It's for their own gain.
Right. Shaz says people won't donate because Harry is in charge, and so many of us are disgusted by him and Meghan turning it into their own fashion show. Absolutely. And another person here said he's a veteran and he would not donate to the Invictus Games. The interesting thing is I don't really know what they actually do for the veterans. Do they take any of that money, put it toward them ever? It seems like the people who compete in the games have to pay for their own way to get there. So I don't know what they do for the veterans exactly.
No, really I don't know, actually. I'll have to find out. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work out. It's going to be very awkward having it here. I mean, it surprises me that it is being held here, and who is going to turn up, what's the relationship's going to look like at that moment in time. It's all very messy.
That's right. So someone has a question for you, Victoria.
Someone releasing a book soon. Right, so I can't actually tell you what book I'm ghostwriting because I'm a ghostwriter, so I'm not allowed to kind of give it away. But I can tell you I am a named author on a book. I'll get it for you. Hold on 2 seconds.
You guys, Victoria's very, very interesting.
I don't feel like I can speak today. I was really nervous coming on your live. I don't know why, and I end up tripping up on my words. Bear with me a second.
No, you were doing amazing.
Bear with me.
Yeah,
so it's called Bestwood Boss Live by the Gun. and I can share that with you.
Yeah, if you could share the link. Is
Um,
that the one you were telling me about that you were working on last year? Is this the one?
yeah, this is one. So he was really good. He allowed me to have credit on this because he said we both did it together. So you know, that was really nice of him. He didn't have to do that. Oh, why is it not
Can
coming
you tell us what
out?
it's about?
So it's about a cartel family in Nottingham, and just the story of how they lived their life. They were selling drugs and they were imprisoned, and it's a prison criminal book, really. It's just his whole life. It's quite fascinating. He's been in the paper. He's very notorious, and he's well known in Nottingham, which is kind of up north from London. Why is it not coming up? Live by the gun. No, hold on a second.
Okay, so she'll send me the link, and then we'll put it.
Oh, here it is. I've got it.
Yeah, send us the link so we can make sure we advertise.
I can just share it with you. 2 seconds so you can see it.
No worries. And they said that you're doing great. So guys, leave us some comments or questions for Victoria down here if you have them.
There you go. That's it. Bestwood Boss. Live by the gun. Yeah.
Where did you send it?
Can you see it?
Where do I get it? I don't know where I get it.
Oh, you can get it on Amazon. Did you? Oh, you got the screen. I've just put it on the. There's a screen there at the end. I've just added it. I think.
Okay. I don't see it. Oh,
it's at the. Yeah, can you see it there? It says Victoria underneath it.
Oh,
next to the screenshot.
No,
you can't see it.
I can't. But you know what? We'll get the link. Link.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. If you're interested in that sort of stuff, then that's great. There's but yeah, it's all Sean's books. He publishes them, so just keep your eye out for other books.
Oh my God, you're such a delight to talk to, guys. It's such a pleasure having her here. See, you were so nervous, and it was so easy to talk to you. You have so much knowledge.
Do I?
To talk to you. So, guys, check out Victoria's voice. She's at about 43,000 subs. We need to get her up to 50,000 subs.
Oh, I think I'm on about 34.
Oh, 34.
Yeah, I'm a young budding channel. Trying my best.
40. Let's get her up to 40K, guys. I'm trying to get myself up to 50K. Got about 7K to go. But let's get Victoria, guys, up to 40K. Go show her some love. And I will find the link to her book on Amazon, and I will put it in the comment section underneath this live. But I'm so excited. You're so fascinating. You're a ghostwriter. She's a mom. She's a YouTube creator. She does a lot of interesting things. And you guys are still now doing the Royal Mess again, right? So
yeah, did you want to come back on that?
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll be a guest one time. Now, are you guys switching it up? Are you guys doing it on Sean's channel?
No, so Ron's still hosting it, and it's on Sean's channel. We kind of did a spin-off when it stopped. We did Royal Chaos. So we've just I just dip in and out as and when I can. But yeah, it's great to have it back. It's nice for the old gang to be back together.
Yes. Well, I think he was covering P. Diddy, so I think he took a little bit of a
break. Because that kind of overrode everything. But you're more than welcome to come on my channel whenever you want.
Yes,
live. I feel like I'll be more relaxed. I felt like I was like,
we'll schedule another live for sure. You're so fun. You're such a delight. Well, we've had over 400 people in here, which is a good number. So it was lovely to have you, Victoria. We'll chat again on your channel very, very soon.
Oh, that'd be
lovely. Guys, go check out Victoria's voice. And she's also on The Royal Mess, which is on Sean Atwood's channel. And who knows, maybe I will show up there one day soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope that was okay.
Yes, well, you guys, it was so fun being here. Thank y'all for stopping by, and we hope to see you again next Sunday. And be sure to check out Victoria's channel, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone in the side chat. Thank you very much for being so kind. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.